Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining today as we talk about the developmental expectations that are held for children, specifically pertaining to reading and writing in their younger years. Today we're going to be looking at the ages that they should be reaching certain milestones and what potential underlying problems they could be having if they aren't reaching those, and real quick ways that you could look at them yourself to assess and hopefully accommodate and help them grow. The first milestone that we are going to be looking at is the ages for grasp. Starting with the dynamic tripod. This is most likely the grasp that you and I use every day while writing. It is with your thumb, index, and middle finger supporting the pencil, your web space open, allowing that pencil to move freely as you write, with your ring and small finger both lying on the paper and gliding with you as you write. This is expected to start developing around 2 years, 8 months to 3 years old. The next grasp to discuss is the spherical grasp. This is used in instances like catching a ball as shown, or opening a jar or other containers, and this is expected to develop around 3 years of age. Followed by opposition of your thumb to all of your fingers, which can be used for several different tasks, and this should present around 4 years, 6 months of age. Next is your hand dominance. Hand dominance is used in all different things and can also be vary from child to child. Starting with object manipulation, this will start to develop from 2 years, 6 months to 3 years and 6 months, followed by skilled activities where they will start reaching for things with either their right or left hand more predominantly, and this will start to develop 3 years of age to 4 years of age, followed by just a general increase in their hand dominance and the preference of which hand they're using, and this is from 4 years old to 6 years old. The next milestones that we'll be looking at are the ones to be determined as pre-writing skills, starting with tracing a line. A child should begin to trace a line anywhere from 3.5 years old to 4 years old. After tracing a line, they will start to copy without those lines underneath. Copying across can start to develop anywhere between 4 and 5 years old. Copying a right to left diagonal can happen anywhere from 4 years and 4 months to 5 years old, whereas copying a square will start to develop around 4.5 years old. Same as copying an H and V will also be around 4.5 years old. A child may write their own name and some of the other letters of the alphabet anywhere from 4 years old to 6 years old. All of these ages may seem rather old compared to what current school standards are, and that is part of why this video is so important, so that teachers and the general public as well is aware that while a child may not be fully writing, they are still normal developing. Following the pre-writing milestones are the milestones for just normal writing, starting with making up their own spelling. For example, if they are writing the word can, instead of a C, they use the letter K, and this will begin from the ages of 5 years old to 6 years old. Their writing then improves in fluidity, their size decreases, and they begin to spell words correctly, and this will happen from ages 6 years old to 10 years old. And then their sentences will begin to increase in complexity, length, their words will be spelled correctly and sized appropriately, and this can happen anywhere from 10 years old to 14 years old, and all still be completely normal development. The final milestones that we will be looking at in this PowerPoint are those in regards to reading. This starts with they begin to pair letters and letter sounds and identifying some familiar words and contexts, both while being read to and trying to read themselves, and this develops anywhere from 2 years to 6 years old. Followed by these developments, they then learn to follow the right to left orientation, and this typically develops around 4 years old. Next, they have the greater sight word vocabulary and are able to identify new words. This typically develops between 6 years and 10 years old. Lastly, silent reading. With the greater sight word vocabulary and ability to identify new words, children will develop the silent reading ability typically around 8 years old. Now that we have looked at some of the developmental milestones for these skills, what happens if a child is not meeting them, and what possible underlying conditions could they have? They could be, but are not limited to, visual, sensory, auditory, cognition, or fine and gross motor. As an OT, one of the first questions we ask is, what is the underlying factor causing this to present itself? And a lot of these underlying conditions that I just mentioned can be assessed right in the classroom, and potential accommodations can be made right then and there to help the child continue to learn. While visual deficits seem like something that would be very easily recognized, I know from personal experience that it can still be overlooked. You can do a very general assessment of this by asking a child what a certain letter or number is while holding it close to them, and then also holding it varying distances away. If they are not able to answer within an expected distance, the child may be having trouble seeing the board from their desk, or their worksheets may be difficult to focus on. You can help the situation by first and foremost notifying the parents and politely suggesting they go in to get an eye exam, followed by moving the child closer to the board if they are able to see better, or printing off larger print worksheets until they are able to get to an optometrist and verify their vision. Sensory deficits, while one of the more difficult to recognize, is also one of the most commonly diagnosed in younger children, and a child may be having difficulty acquiring reading or writing skills due to discomfort or lack of regulation within their own system. If a child seems to be moving around in their seat a lot, they may be looking for more sensory input than what the typical chair is providing them. A seat cushion or a different style chair may be able to help them focus better in class. These children are also still very young, and they may benefit from movement breaks throughout their lessons to get up and seek the stimulation that their body needs. While a child may have no problem hearing you, they may also be hearing the classroom across the hall, or the child tapping their pencil, or any other of these sounds going on in their environment, and may not be able to focus on anything else. Bringing a child to a quiet environment and asking them to complete a typical classroom problem would be one way to assess for auditory delay. If you find that this may be what is affecting them, having them do their work in a quiet environment will be very important for their continued growth. If it seems to be a cognitive delay and none of the other reasons could be affecting their learning, then this child may need extra assistance in learning. Providing them with that extra assistance as early as you can will be critical to their continued growth, both developmentally and emotionally. This can be done through IEPs and going to the school board and advocating for the child to receive extra time either with you, extra work time with their parents, or having an additional person in that classroom to help work with that child. Gross and fine motor deficits are why we earlier discussed grasp. If these are not developed, then their writing skills are sure to be struggling as well. If you notice that the child is holding the pencil in a seemingly ineffective way, offering them a pencil gripper that allows their fingers to naturally fall into a functional grasp is one way to address this, followed by also them receiving additional PT and OT care to work on that fine and gross motor development. You have a child with a delay and you think you know what's going on. So what next? First and foremost, inform the parents. They have the final say in any decision that happens with their child, but advocate for the child. Let them know what you found, why you think it's important that they seek extra care, or why they need accommodations as you are requesting. And then accommodate as recommended, whether it's bringing them closer to the board, printing out larger print documents, having them somewhere quiet while they're doing their work, or so much more. Anything extra that you can do to help this child learn and grow to the best of their ability. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my video. I hope this not only helps you, but also your children in need.